Optics.org has made its way over to the Optikos stand, and I'm joined by Byron Seabolt, Business Development Representative at Optikos. Byron, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Precision is clearly central to many of the industries Optikos works with. Can you explain why precision is so critical in those applications?
It's a great question. Optikos is focused on several key markets, and those key markets are, as an example, life science diagnostics, med tech, semiconductor, industrial automation, aerospace defense. And each of those markets are really driven by a high level of precision, right? So a great example would be for life science diagnostics, microscopy, light sheet microscopy, fluorescence, DNA sequencing, protein sequencing. But all that requires a high level of precision to allow us to be able to view and assess the specimens that are being under test. And that precision is fed into patient diagnostics, and those outcomes, have a direct effect on the outcome of the patient's health. And so, our role in that precision is to develop systems that allow those high levels of outcome so that industry can flourish, but at the end of the day, it lends to better products in the market and better health outcomes for patients, doctors, etc.
What happens to precision requirements as a design moves from the prototype phase into large-scale production?
In the early stages of development, typically in feasibility, as an example, generally we don't fully understand what the design form is of a specific optical system. And maybe we don't fully understand what the metrology solution is for that specific design. And so in those early stages of feasibility and risk reduction, we're really doing paper studies. We're trying to understand specifically what the outcomes and the customer needs are, what the risks are. And through those efforts, we start to define what level of precision is required. And as we gain that insight through those efforts in the engineering group, we develop an appreciation for that level of precision. And so that allows us to define the specs correctly. That allows us to carry those specifications into, say, an alpha development. And that alpha development allows us to define clearly to us, for us and the customer, what level of precision is required. And so we carry that all the way through kind of the manufacturing environment. And that does change as we go through those development phases. But as we get past that alpha, beta development, we've sort of satisfied our need to understand what level of precision is required in the design and the metrology, and how we would carry that repeatably through volume production.
Given the variety of companies Optikos works with, at what stage of development do you typically see the biggest challenges in achieving precision?
I think based on my experience and the experience of Optikos, probably the most critical stage of the development is really based around the transfer to manufacturing. So after, say, the last design iteration is completed, you are again working with many stakeholders to then transfer a high precision design to volume manufacturing, which requires well-defined metrology, well-defined quality specs, well-defined supply chain, and that requires a level of precision across all of those stakeholders because every one of them are responsible for the success of that design and the manufacture.
And how can early design decisions influence precision later in the development process?
I think based on our experience, the early design decisions typically will affect the latter design decisions, meaning that if I have a well thought out feasibility and risk reduction effort, and I've defined the specs well across the optomechanical, the optics, the environmentals, the sort of operating conditions of the device that we're designing for a customer. Any of that work that can be done upfront and well thought out through the partnership between us and our customer, that really allows us to mitigate risk. That allows us to have a higher level of precision in the way we operate with our customers, as opposed to maybe foregoing that effort in the beginning because of timeline or cost. So really driving to ensure that we've done all the necessary upfront work, but always lends to better success later.
Byron, just before we wrap up, many companies use Photonics West as a platform to showcase new developments. Is there anything new from Optikos you'd like to highlight?
We're showing off a 2-channel fluorescence microscopy platform. We've co-developed this with our partner Novanta to showcase rapid development of microscopy platforms to enable life science diagnostics.
Byron, thanks for talking us through what's happening at Optikos and how development progresses from concept to full-scale production.
Appreciate it. Thank you.